Hello, and welcome to what I hope will be the last headquarters update. This is now essentially a completed room ready for the set to be moved to. I'm going to fill you in on a few details because there are some of you that probably don't even know what this is because I explained it first back in like September because it's been this long in the making. So first of all, this carpet beneath me, it is so nice. Finally down here. I don't know because I haven't heard this audio yet, but there are quite a lot of very sharp reflections in here still. So the carpet definitely did not solve all of my acoustic woes, but I didn't expect it to because there's, all just drywall here now. But first, I have a lot of things I'm going to go over, so I'm going to start with this room, the most important thing, and feel free to tune out whenever you'd like, but I have a list of topics that I'm going to explore. I'm going to show you around a few other things today. I have updates on the internet situation here and a whole bunch of other stuff, but for now, let's start in this room. The camera is on Mr. Autofocus today, so it's probably going to focus in and out because, for how great my video camera is, autofocus is terrible. Anyway, let's start with these two walls. So I did just a quick picture update. These are the same colors that are currently behind the set. If any of you want to replicate this set on your own, this is called Calligraphy and this is called Distant Star. They're both Home Depot paints from Behr. So if you know Distant Star and Calligraphy, you can get the same colors. I actually quite like the color scheme, so I was happy to redo it down here. A couple of people have asked why no ceiling. I do not want a ceiling in this room because the intention is to rig lights up, and I will show you more information about that soon enough. So there will not be a ceiling in here until such time that YouTube falls apart for me and I need to, turn this into just like a regular room, but hopefully that never happens. Anyway, let's move on. Let's not think about bad things. I'm going to move over to the camera so I can take you off the tripod and do some explanations of what all has been done in here, what I may do in the future, and where we go from there. All right, so we're going to start with this closet. So this closet is now a full closet. There is a door. It's missing a door knob. I need to put that on, but that'll be pretty easy to do. The main purpose of this closet is to hide the radon remediation system and hopefully make it quieter, which it certainly has done. Small boo-boo regarding this closet, which isn't really a boo-boo, it's just something none of us expected to happen. The back wall is not insulated because my dad and I were not expecting the drywall contractor to actually put drywall in this closet at all. And he did a good job, but the thing is, this wall has no insulation behind it, and I don't know, we'll see how things go. The other thing is, he put in this access panel for the radon pipe, but also like right here, I think, it might be a little bit higher, there's an electrical outlet, which is what the radon fan outside is tapped into, and I was hoping to use this closet as like a charging area. I could put my camera charger and stuff in there, so I may end up cutting through this wall. Not a huge deal. Anyway, close this back up. You can now barely hear the suction from the radon system. What you can hear more than that is actually just vibration from the fan motor. So I'm going to try to tame that, but that's going to be something to do on the outside. All the electrical work on the bottom is now complete. So every single outlet box, if you're wondering why there's two colors, that's very deliberate. I talked about this in my ground fault circuit interrupter video where every outlet you can actually break it apart. So like the top one is on a switch, the bottom one is not. I wanted to do that, but more obviously and with double the capacity. So every single outlet, the gray one is on that one of these two light switches. So this does the right half of the room as you're staring at the switch. That does the left half of the room. This I'll get back to. So all these outlets, they are live and working, and hooray. I was able to get most of them pretty straight. A couple of them did not work out so well, but what are you gonna do? These walls here are just primed. I've not painted them, but that's fine because I don't, down the road, may do more sets or something like that, or leave this open to be where I do, you know, editing and work like that. I don't think I want to do editing work down here, but I will see. The way we handled the column. So basically we didn't. We just left it in place and did the wall behind it, which, you know, not the greatest solution, honestly, but it's fine. And down the road, maybe I'll put a bookcase here and kind of build it into the bookcase, or else just, you know, have a burgundy pole going up to the ceiling, which is honestly fine with me. I don't really care. So on this far end of the wall, what I may want to do down the road, and this is a bit of a small story regarding the order of operations. I almost delayed the carpet install to potentially put in cabinets along the width of this wall to make this like a workbench. And I decided against doing that now because I just, you know, I was running out of time, and I wanted to get this ready to go as quickly as possible because of the entire reason that this studio is here in the first place. And again, I'll explain that a little bit more, but I just want to give you this overview of the room, what I am planning on doing, and possibly down the road upgrades. So what I was thinking of, if you follow Michael Stevens of Vsauce and the Dong channel, they have a set where it's like a wide counter behind them. And I was thinking, oh, I could kind of replicate that, turn this into a workbench and whatnot. But again, it would have made more sense to do that before laying the carpet, but then that would mean have to order some, you know, cabinets, and it would just slow everything down. So I said, put the carpet down, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it, which I know that's the wrong saying, but I like to say it that way. And if I can put cabinets on top of the carpet, it won't be the end of the world. It'll just be, you know, a challenge. This little area here, I am thinking of possibly doing like a talking head area where just some artwork, maybe paint the wall a different color like that. And for that reason, I have elected to do 6-panel doors rather than just plain doors, because I like 6-panel doors. I think they look very nice. Although I guess they're not contemporary anymore, but when has that ever bothered me? And then, you know, that's the reason why I honestly didn't even want to paint this half of the room at all, but something got on the wall like right there, and you can't see it anymore, which is great. But I think I'm honestly thinking it was a coffee splatter from the drywall guy. What are you gonna do? But it's fine now. I will show you back here the electrical work that is left to do. Gravy. Okay, hang on. We gotta brighten this up. So I'm a little mad at myself because I did this in the wrong order, and these kind of loop around stupidly because, again, I did it in the wrong order. But this switch box, there's 2 supplies coming in, and they get broken out to a switched return, or what would you call that? It's another supply. They get broken out to 1 supply and a switch, 1 supply that's not. So currently the room is set up so that way each half of the room is on the same circuit. So each outlet box I could only pull 20 amps from. If I wanted to, I could reverse these so that way the 1 supply is on the switched side of the one room and on the unswitched side of the other room. That way on every single quad I could pull up to 20 amps, but I don't think there's going to be a reason for that. But this box here will eventually have 4 individual light switches in it. And this, I already have power run here. That white wire is already hooked up in the box with a breaker. It's just not on right now. And that will just simply be for 4 outlets. Going to run the power up to the ceiling, back into the room. Now we need to tame this back down. That's better. So go back in the room and put an outlet. I haven't yet completely committed to if I want to do this in quadrants or how I want to do it. It doesn't really matter because I can just extend out for it. And the purpose is just to be able to rig lights and have it be if I have multiple sets going on, I will be able to, you know, basically come down here, because that's the whole point of these switches. It's basically like when I have the set that is my current set over there, which has all the lights in it, I can just turn on this light switch, everything gets power, turn on another light switch, and the overhead lights get power too. Because obviously when I'm filming, these lights will not be on because ew. But they're, and in fact, I may steal 2 of these to put in the other half of the basement because I don't really need this much light down here anymore. It's certainly nice, but it's very much overkill. Or, you know, I could just get a couple more shop lights. That's certainly no huge expense. And now I just want to go over the who, what, when, where, and why for the people that have no idea what's going on. So this is what I call headquarters. You will think I am insane for doing what I have done, but what is also insane is the amazing support I have from you and everyone who has, I'm just completely flattered because I never expected this to go as well as it's been going, and I'm super happy and super thankful. So thank you first and foremost. Let me explain what happened here. So where I currently live, it's my first home, besides living for my parents, and I chose that home based on the fact that it was affordable and it was enough space to do YouTube videos on the side and also work a normal job. So if you go back to the very earliest videos that I've made, that set with the brown walls and the colored shelves was actually my childhood bedroom at my parents' home. And so I don't think that set's very good in hindsight, but that was the original place that I was making videos. When they were going to sell their home, which turned out to take a lot longer than they wanted to, so things were in limbo it didn't take long to sell, but it got pushed back. Things were in limbo for a while, so I switched to using a green screen. So my earliest green screen work was replicating that set, if you couldn't tell, but the earliest videos, that was actually a real set, and I basically just took, because what I was doing at that time to be more dynamic, which you're gonna think I'm crazy. I didn't yet have a teleprompter, so I had to memorize these lines. And B, I shot things from 3 different angles, but I didn't have 3 cameras. So what I did was I color-coded each line, jumping back and forth between the camera angles, and recorded them out of sequence and put them back together. It was so much work for an effect that I don't even like anymore, because I prefer, for when I do jump cuts, to just move slightly from the same perspective. So, but at that time also, I didn't have a 4K camera, so I couldn't just zoom without losing quality. So, you know, it was okay. But basically, for the first probably, I don't know when I started using a green screen, but for the first while, I was literally like recording 1/3 of the video with the camera here, 1/3 of the video with the camera here, and 1/3 of the video with the camera there. So when I could no longer use that set because the house, we actually took it down, and I helped my dad repaint the room to normal colors because it used to be, that room was burgundy and gray, and then with a corner painted brown for the set. So it obviously needed repainted. But then, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to use that same set for future videos. So I just took pictures of the 3 angles and was using a green screen, which turned out to be so much better anyway, because I could just record it in sequence and then, you know, move things around. But anyway, I'm talking to you about the past. So then when I moved to where I live now, I basically just continued using the green screen. I moved away from using that as a background, just used whatever the heck I found. And then, you know, as the channel is getting bigger, the green screen, first of all, it's annoying to deal with the green screen because you're editing, everything gets slowed down because it just takes more processing power to deal with the green screen. And it's just more work because you have to chroma key every individual clip, and the way my camera records, it's 6 minutes long, and then it's another clip. So I would have to key each individual one and fuss with that. And it was just, you know, I was like, I'd like to get a real set again. And so then this was right at the beginning of Patreon. So I made that whole thing out of IKEA stuff. If it wasn't obvious, it's the Kallax bookshelves, and then did the crazy thing with the TVs behind the set for some added color, which now, bonus, because I have room to the left of the set, I'm going to be able to, I think I'm going to buy a computer that will just be able to drive them both, so I don't have to use Chromecasts anymore. I'll give you more details about that when we get there. But so that's been my physical set, but the trade-off was it's in my dining room. And so I lost that, and it's my dining room table. That's what I've been using this whole time. So I've lost that space, and the camera and lights are in the living room. So essentially, whenever I'm set up to make a video, I can't walk around my home, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So once it was clear that, you know, the channel I think is going places, and again, thank you so much for making it go the places it's going, I wanted to look for a studio space so I could clear out where I live and have a dedicated space to film. So that's where things started. And I started just by looking at office space in my area. And even though I'm in a suburb of Chicago, not in the city, offices are still pretty expensive. So the only place to get a reasonably affordable office, I'd have to drive pretty far away. The other option would be I could have rented like an apartment or something like that. But again, it would be tough to know if it could be configured the way I wanted it. And the rental market right now in the Chicago suburbs and just Chicago area in general is like so backwards, it's insane. It is so much cheaper. If you can save a down payment, you will save probably $400 to $600 a month at least on a mortgage for something like a condo than you would for an apartment. And so that, it was an option, but it would have been more expensive than I wanted to do. So fast forward to, I'm teetering behind. Should I look at the office space? I was getting excited about it. Fast forward to August of last year, and I had a crazy idea. I already knew tangentially, because my mom and dad moved out here, that, the cost of living out here is much lower. Obviously, housing costs are much lower. Maybe I should look to see what is for sale or for rent in the area. And I was looking at actual towns in this area, but nothing really was a good fit. And then this house happened to be for sale, which I didn't know. And I've known about this house for a long time because it's in the area where my parents live. And I've seen it. And it went up, it was being built, and then it just stopped. All progress stopped. No one was ever coming to the house. And it's been like this for, in total now, 8 years or so. So this house was started in 2010 at some point. We don't know exactly when. And the basic story is it was a husband and wife that were building it as a vacation home, but sadly her husband passed away, and it basically got put on hold, and a lot of things got changed from their original intention, and a lot of things just didn't get finished. So the house sat vacant for a long time, and finally she does not live anywhere near here anymore, and she decided to put it up for sale. And the timing just worked. I came in, and because it wasn't finished, it was a very reasonable asking price. And when I saw the home and I came down into this basement, it was like an epiphany. Because if you can't tell from the video, the ceilings are very tall in here. Most basements do not have ceilings like this. This is an 8.5 or 9 foot ceiling. So picture like 2 3/4 of a meter, whereas most ceilings are just 8 feet total. And actually, you can see. So the drywall, that is 8 feet tall. So there's more room above it to go to the bottom of the joist. So the ceilings are very tall in here. And I'm sure they did it because they planned on finishing the basement, because then if you put in a drop ceiling, it would be an 8-foot ceiling. But again, her husband died, and it was probably 6 or 7 years ago now, and it basically just stopped. And it sat like that for a long time. And, I got the benefit of timing just working out. And so that's what is here. And you may be thinking, well, that sounds insane. Why did you buy a house rather than get an office space? The other thing is the cost of basically this costs less than my home. And it's eventually, it needs some investment in it to bring it up to where it needs to be. But eventually I could live here having not much more than the living space that I currently have. This is not a very large house, but this basement is separate from all that. So I can leave my set, my filming equipment, and anything else that I need down here and live upstairs without having, without literally tripping over my lights and tripod all the time. And also, there's a garage, so I'll be able to do videos about cars and other things like that, which I'm totally looking forward to. And just, in general, if I were to, the reason why this makes a lot of sense, you may think it doesn't, but the reason why, in my mind anyway, it makes a lot of sense is because having this space, even though it's not finished, means I have storage, I have workspace, I have living space, and all of it is wrapped up in the cost of basically one apartment anywhere near Chicago. And I'm talking like a studio maybe. So yeah, I need to restart the camera because it's gonna stop soon. So yeah, that's how this got started. It was completely different from what I was looking at, but I think long-term it will make much more sense. And so for now, I'm solely treating this as an office space. What's not done on the interior is just staying not done. And there are a lot of things that need to be done before this house could truly be lived in. For example, as I have said before, this is the only closet in the entire house. And I'm not kidding you. In the bedrooms, there's planned space for a closet, but neither bedroom has an actual closet. And there's no pantry. There's literally no storage space in here except for the basement and the garage. So I don't know. I'm sure, like I said, it just didn't get finished. I'm sure they just ran out of either time or money. There definitely is space for there to be a closet. It's just that was never finished. So there's a lot of details here and there that would need to be done before the house could truly be lived in, but it has the basics. It has a relatively complete kitchen, but I'll tell you more about that because there's also problems there. And there are a few big projects that need to happen, but nothing needs to happen rushed. And the biggest thing is I may be cutting this out because I'm re-recording a part of this. The biggest deal that what I've been trying to do is get this ready to go so that way I can get the set down here, get my cameras down here, and have everything that I need to make videos here so I can actually spend the time here to get those things done. Because currently I can only be here for 2 or 3 days at a time before I need to go back to where I live, back home, and either make a video or just do research, because I can stay here with my parents because they're close. It's not certainly a burden to go between here and there, but the problem is I don't have my desktop computer, so I either have to stay with my laptop. There's another bit of news there, which is good. And it's just, it's not easy to work there. And the other thing is, if I've forgotten a shot, which does happen, or there's something that I want to film, then I need to put the project on hold, drive back home, which is about between an hour and 45 minutes and 2 hours away. And it's just, basically I would need to go through everything, make sure I have everything pretty done before I'd commit to coming out here to spend the time. So for the toaster video, which I have just finished, I can say now that officially that is the first video made at headquarters. It was not filmed here, obviously, but I only did the talking head cut down and as far as editing, and figured out what B-roll I needed. The rest of it was edited here with a new setup that I will show you shortly. But anyway, I got a little sidetracked there. The point is I want to get the set down here and all of my stuff to make videos down here so that way I can stay here for a few weeks at a time and not have to worry about, do I need, basically not have to worry about those things. There are certainly limitations to staying down here, which again, I'll get into. This is going to be a very long video, so if you feel free to stick around, but it might push into an hour. I don't know how long things are going to go. But I will be able to actually spend decent time here, get those projects done. Many of them I'd like to do myself, if possible. Other things I know I will need to hire professionals to do because I'm not qualified to do it. When does that ever stop me though? So now let's go upstairs and I will show you my new work setup here. That is basically the only reason that I could get the edit done for the toaster video. So these are the two pieces of furniture that I have purchased for this home so far. A chair and a desk. And as you can see, I am fresh off of the assembly of this desk. I'm really not. I just have not been cleaning up in here. The original reason for getting the desk is that the DVR for the security cameras that I have installed on the home, a brief overview of why there are security cameras. There were some shenanigans going on while the home was vacant, and both me and all concerned members of my family thought maybe security cameras would be a wise investment. So they are installed, and the DVR is, well, originally it was in the garage, but obviously in the winter that's not good. So we moved the cables into this room, and the DVR is kind of loud, and also just, you know, you need a place to put it as well as a monitor. So desk for the win. But it's also functioning as a desk. The reason there's two monitors is one of these monitors is terrible. One of these monitors is not as terrible. I think I have them backwards right now. These are really, really cheap monitors from like 5 years ago. So certainly they function, but color accuracy is horrid. And I believe this one is a TN panel. So like if I just tilt that, I don't know if you'll be able to see that on camera, but oh, you can, yeah. This is a really bad monitor. But anyway, so let me take you off the camera because I didn't, or the tripod, I did not know, or I guess I didn't realize. My mom happened to get a new laptop for her work setup, and it used a dock like this. So it goes through USB-C or Thunderbolt, and then she has two monitors. You know, you saw the video, hopefully, maybe you did, with when I set up the battery backup for her. And so she has a new laptop now, and it has a dock like this. And I was like, well, wait a minute, my XPS 15 has a Thunderbolt port. Could I use that dock? And as it so happens, the exact dock that she has was indeed compatible with my laptop. So I bought another one. I didn't steal her dock or anything. But now I'm able to come down here and plug this in, get a second monitor. So this one I've been using for just like looking at, you know, what's in the bin, all that sort of stuff. And I've moved the timeline here, which I'm sort of regretting. This is the first time I've ever used two monitors in Premiere, so it was very much just a learning experience for me. But obviously the main program has to be on this screen because this is the good color accurate one. This is the horrible it functions. Let me just, yikes. Anyway, but that's exciting because now I can bring my laptop here and I can work on it. Obviously there's a keyboard and mouse. This is an awful, really bad keyboard, but it was just here and available. So I will eventually get something. This is literally a $5 keyboard, and also it has that tiny backspace key. This is just a weird layout, and also if you can see the lights for num lock and caps lock, they're literally just slits in the plastic with the LED behind them. Such quality, but it's better than using the laptop keyboard with a mouse. But anyway. I was partly surprised I could use this dock because this, the power adapter with my laptop is really beefy. I think it's a 110 watt power adapter. But it turns out that this dock can be had with different size power adapters. So the actual power adapter is down here, which you can't really see because it's too dark, but if you get the larger power adapter, then it can in fact charge the laptop. The only thing is, I'm wondering if it's throttling the performance of the laptop because the render for this video took almost an hour, and it's only a 10 or 11 minute video. And normally my laptop is faster than that. But I'm also wondering if it's just Premiere being silly, like if there's an update or a setting I've got wrong, because I was looking at the performance monitor and almost all of the work was being done by the GPU. The CPU wasn't really doing anything at all. And I'm talking like CPU utilization was something like 40% for most of the render. So the fans weren't really going like they usually do. So it was just kind of odd. I don't know if the dock is limiting that or something else, but certainly the experience editing is no problem. So I don't know if it throttles because it's charging through the port, but the other thing is it was fully charged when I was rendering, so who knows. Okay, I've brought you upstairs to the loft area to show you one of the biggest development here is I now have a reliable internet connection. So this is one of the cuter accents of the home. They designed this area to put a twin mattress and have it be kind of like a reading nook. So if you know, there's these nice windows here. It's very, like in the bedroom, they're up high. But anyway, again, I don't know what the plan was because they didn't finish this. They have no drywall written in a couple places. If you look down there, there's drywall to the right and then just boards to the left. So who knows? But anyway, the important part is back there, which, yeah, will I be able to blow this up enough for you to see? A little bit. So there's now a hole going to the outside, and there's a bit of an Ethernet doodad I need to get sorted. And the point of this is now I installed, and I have a patron to thank. I have no idea who, but someone got me on the idea of setting up a beam to another place with internet access. So on the outside there, and I'll throw up a picture so you can see what it is, there is a Ubiquiti power beam something, M5 maybe? And it is connected to another one at a neighbor's house who's kind enough to let me use his internet access. I was really hoping I could connect to my parents' internet because they have faster speed. They're able to get 12 meg download, but they're just too far away. Certainly they're not too far for the power beams to work, but the problem is there's so many trees around here that, you know, I was hopeful that it could penetrate through the trees, but turns out that was a very optimistic hope, because to the neighbor that it's beaming to is at most like a quarter mile away from here. Basically, I mean, not even that. He's across the street and a couple houses down. So it's just going a couple lots over. But even that short distance, I don't have full strength signal because of the trees between here and there, because really this is quite a forested area. It was never farmed because it was kind of like, it was just too hilly to be farmed. This is one of the few areas of Illinois that aren't totally flat. There are some hills that you have to work hard to find them, but there are some hills. But anyway, so now out there's an antenna beaming over to a neighbor's place, and it is bringing in an Ethernet signal. That thing with the light on it is a power over Ethernet injector to power the antenna. And then this is my new Wi-Fi router that it's actually old, but I'm using it now for my second network. And this one, unfortunately, that was a fun word. He used to be able to get 6 meg download, 6 meg one up, or 6 down, 1 up. Now I'm only getting 4.5, and I thought maybe my connection with the power beams was bad, but no, I went over to his place and tested his Wi-Fi. He's also getting the same. So I don't know what happened there, but the thing is, he's not there all the time, so whenever he's not there, I can get his full bandwidth, and whenever he is there, we'll share it. But the stupid thing is, the reason why I have to do this is because the ISP out here is out of ports, or at least that is what they claim. So I cannot get internet access from the ISP. So basically, your only option is to come up with an agreement with someone and beam the connection from point to point, basically, which is what I ended up doing, or use a cellular router, which is what I was doing. The one saving grace is there must be a tower fairly close to here because I get good cellular signal. And what I had been using, and I still am using, is an AT&T product that it's basically a hotspot with an Ethernet jack, and it's basically $1 per gigabyte per month. And so I'll be able to drop to the 50 gigabyte plan now, because I can use this for general internet surfing, but I'm going to keep it for uploading because 0.9 megabit upload is horrendously bad, and it would take about 12 to 16 hours to upload a typical video of mine. So I will keep the AT&T thing going. And then the reason why it's here, which I will eventually explain, is I have to redo this jack, but that is a Cat5 line. The house was wired with Cat5 wiring rather than just general phone jacks, which is great for me because it means I can add jacks later. But this one I don't remember why I pulled this one out, but eventually I just have to replace the actual jack. I will put this through the networking and have all the jacks wired up to this connection, and only use the AT&T box for for uploads. But the other thing is, supposedly there's going to be a new ISP coming in the area. I do not know the timeline. I know nothing about it. I just know it is supposedly happening. And they claim that we'll be able to get triple the speeds that we currently do. So that means either 18 meg down or 36, because I don't know if they're basing that on the fastest speed you can get here, which is 12, or if they're basing that on what most people have, which is 6. In any case, I now have hopefully 6. I'm hoping there's just something funky going on, or at least a usable internet connection that is not throttled. I don't have to pay extra for. And I'm very grateful to my neighbor, who's a close family friend too, for allowing me to use that connection. But anyway, I will now go through the rest of items. Okay, I have switched to my cell phone because my camera's battery has died, but this is the actual antenna on the outside of the house. So it is just angled pointing at the neighbor's house because he's got another one of these, though his is inside because it doesn't need to be outside. And here though, basically there really was nowhere to put it except, well, it's better to, I should say it's better to be outside, but for his situation, he has an area. The original plan was actually to put it in the attic of my parents' home, but again, we couldn't get a connection no matter how hard we tried. So it is here, and or it is pointing at his house, and because he's so close, his is just inside. We may change it, but anyway, these work really well. I will say it's amazing how well they work, and for how inexpensive they are, because this is not really consumer equipment. It's professional equipment, but they're about $100 each. You can get them on Amazon. So they're a pain to set up. It took me a long time to find a forum that had a good set of instructions on it. But once they're set up, it's pretty bulletproof. And then it's just got the single Ethernet wire going into the house with power over Ethernet. But the other reason why I brought you out here is because this is one of the things that need to be addressed. In a number of locations, there's bad sealant, or this is happening, this separation of the trim. And this is the only area that I know of where it's separating, but the question is why and how long has this been happening? Because it's going to be hard to see because the sun is not cooperating. But this trim here, like I'm looking at the back of the OSB behind it, and I just don't really, I just don't know why this would have separated so much. So this, certainly I will need to seal temporarily, but also I want to have someone come out here who specializes in siding and whatnot to see if he can figure out why this has happened. And the other thing is this trim material is used all around the house. Thankfully, there's not a lot of it because most of it is problematic in some way. Some of it is rotting. This obviously is separating, and I just don't really know. I think it's a composite board of some kind, and I really don't know if it's supposed to be used as trim, because it's just, to me, and even though the paint is still in really good shape, in a lot of places there's bad issues. So this is a really bad problem, which is, par for the course, I guess. But luckily, this is the only area that is like this. I have already fixed a water leak from that was on the main level, but that was nothing wrong with the, there's nothing wrong with the house. They just did a really bad caulking job, so I repaired that. But this, need to do a temporary seal on that, and probably replace this trim. And yeah, anyway. So, and then just to show you, because we're up at the top, this is why I think this is a composite board. I don't know why. It definitely looks like this is some manufactured board, and it's soft. It's losing integrity. So I need to have this looked at, and possibly, I mean, honestly, it'd be best to replace it, but I don't know what sort of timeline I'd have for that. But you know, the other one of the pluses about being out here is that in general the cost of doing stuff like this is lower, but the downside is it can be hard to find good people to do it. So anyway. Okay, and apparently I'm going to do the rest of this in selfie mode because I have the rest of the list of things I just want to go over with you. So in addition to that trim work, there's only one other big project that needs to be done, and it has to, there's a long story behind this, otherwise I wouldn't share it because it's interesting. So basically, way back when, obviously the house was inspected because it sat vacant for so long, and it was kind of a scary prospect of, you know, definitely would not go into this without knowing some information about the house. And the inspector had remarked that there's a deck, like it's more like a porch, but there's a deck off of the living area, and it's not really high off the ground, so the deck does not have railings. And well, it needs railings because it is high enough. Apparently it's only 1 foot. So the reason why this house has never had a certificate of occupancy is because the county has never approved it, probably for that reason. And there's one other thing that needs to be repaired, but that's minor. It's a GFCI outlet that needs to be installed in the kitchen. But anyway, the railings ended up being a huge ordeal because that almost caused the sale to not go through. I was so worried about the cost of getting that done. But in the end, the seller ended up giving me a credit for it. But what got even funnier was that they had to put in temporary railings anyway because the underwriter would not approve the mortgage without some sort of safety barrier. So what is up there is not up to code, it's only temporary. So I need to replace those railings before I could legally live here. Obviously there's no huge rush to do that, but that is the one project that needs to be done. The other things that need to be figured out, I said in an earlier video, the design of the kitchen changed dramatically from what they originally planned to what is currently there. And it's not even technically finished. There's no backsplash by the sink, and the drywall was never painted, but the outlets are all sorts of weird. There's one under the sink, even though there's no garbage disposal or a switch for a garbage disposal. So that's weird. And in the basement, there are 4 breakers related to the, no, wait, hang on. 5 breakers related to the kitchen. One of which is for an oven, which does not exist because it is a propane oven and range. I do know that makes sense because originally there was planned to be a wall oven, but they decided against that for some reason. But then there's a breaker for fan hood and a breaker for microwave, except the microwave has the fan hood. So again, a change from the design. So which of those breakers actually has the microwave? And then the other two, there's 2 breakers for kitchen outlets, but there appear to only be 2 outlets in there, plus the one the microwave is connected to. So that needs to be figured out. And the good news is, because there's no ceiling anywhere in the basement, I can follow the wiring and reasonably figure it out. But I think at some point I'm gonna have to go into, basically take the drywall out in the kitchen and figure out what the heck is going on behind there. Because the other thing is, they did not install outlets on the side by the stove. So that entire wall with the stove and the sink on it doesn't have outlets. They put these weird temporary things underneath the cabinets, which is just like, to me, I don't know why they do that. I think I've seen that some people are like, oh yeah, hide the outlets there. But to me, I'm like, I don't consider outlets to be ugly, and I would not want to have to, bend down to see where the plug is whenever plugging something in. So that I want to undo, and plus they're not even wired permanently, they're wired to extension cords, which are themselves plugged into outlets inside the cabinets. So the kitchen is all sorts of wrong, but that again, it's functional, everything works in there, but that needs to be repaired. But luckily that's electrical work. I can do most of that myself unless I find out something is like completely wrong, and then I'll need to get an electrician out here. Let me consult my notes for other things. Other thing about outside, in addition to the trim work that will need attention, the front door apparently is rotting. And I'm not surprised, because going back to the porch thing, it's an L shape, and on the sides against the house, there's no covering there. So there's currently no awning or anything above the front door or the windows around that part of the house, which is, okay, I guess, except the front door has been getting a lot of water damage, most likely because of that. And for some reason, they installed this like decorative kick plate thing at the bottom of the door, which water is getting behind and I'm sure trapped. So the front door is warped at the bottom, and it's not a huge deal yet, but I know probably in the next few years that's going to need to be replaced. But I just thought I'd share that, because the thing about this house is, the more that I've been here looking at stuff, the more weird decisions I find, like the door and the fact that they put that kick plate on there. I need to switch hands because pardon me, my right hand is losing its strength. The fact that the door was done that way, and just a number of there's a lot of custom stuff about this home, but it's all been done with bodged. As far as I can tell, very few things are actually custom. They're just unconventional ways of doing things. The doors, there's 2 doors that are a weird size, the front door and one other door. But for the most part, it's just all standard stuff used in interesting and unconventional ways. But because of the unconventionalness of the house, there are some things that are just like, what? And luckily, I have time to sort that through. Again, going back to the point of getting the set down here, so that way I can stay here and work on those things in the background. And hopefully, by the summer, I'll be able to get a certificate of occupancy on the home, and I can actually legally live here whenever that time comes. Oh, the other thing about the fact that the porch does not have a covering, there's evidence of water ingress above some of the windows there, and I believe it's all down to that. And because there's no, I'm not convinced that the flashing was done correctly under the siding up there. But anyway, it's very minor, because it's been raining all day yesterday and I can't see any new water coming in. So it may be an old stain, but certainly that needs some attention. If not, so one thing that I will hopefully be able to do myself, because I'm feeling adventurous, is cover that, because there's a covering. There's like a covering above the whole area that would need to be covered, but there's no actual roof structure to it. It's like a lattice work. So it's basically just decorative at this point, which again, I don't know if their intention was to eventually put a roof over there, but certainly for the front door, it needs it, because currently rain and snow just goes right on the door, which it's watertight. It's not letting in water, but it's warping, and it's letting in a draft a little bit. So certainly that could be fixed temporarily by just messing with the door seal. But anyway, that area needs some covering. So there's basically 2 outside projects that need to happen, railings and that, and then the rest of it is just, as I said, over time, slow things. Nothing needs to be rushed on the interior of the house, because it is functional. It's just a lot of, like you saw the thing in the loft, there's a lot of details that were just never ironed out. But we're gonna get there, because this, in a way, this is perfect to what I like to do, because I like to have projects like that. I just, I need to balance time between the channel and doing those things, but some things I might be able to make videos out of. So eventually everybody will know about the new headquarters. I just don't, my concern currently is that there are still a lot of pictures of this home online, and I haven't looked recently, so I'm going to check. But the reason why I would love to give you a tour so you can see the other parts of the house, but I've been very selective in what I've shown you, so that way it's not so easy to identify doing a reverse image search or whatever. So I am being a little paranoid. Excuse my paranoia if you don't mind, but for some projects, definitely I would love to bring you along. And also, if anybody has ideas of anything like house related that they'd like a video on, let me know, because there will be some things that get done. But the good news is, and you know, like I was saying, it was inspected, so it's not like I went in blind. That would have been really dumb. So, you know, basically the house is sound. There's just a lot of little details that need to be addressed. And like I was saying, with the scariest thing to me actually is the exterior trim, because it may need to be replaced in the entire house. So I'm gonna, you know, plan to possibly have to do that in the future. But, you know, it's one of the risks of buying a home. Yeah. But that's also why I'm happy that, you know, my home currently is some place where I don't have to worry about maintenance or anything like that. I can leave it for a month at a time and not feel worried about it, because, you know, it's not my responsibility. But it is here, 100%. But anyway, the last weird thing before I wrap this video up, smoke alarms. Okay. This is just a weird thing. The house has 3 spaces for smoke alarms. They're all hardwired and they have an interconnect, so if one goes off, they'll all go off. But 2 of them were missing, as in like the actual alarms. But they weren't missing, they were just taken down. We found them in different places. There was one in the basement, one in a kitchen cabinet, and then the weirder thing is there appears to be an extra one, because the one smoke alarm that was still in place and functional was in the basement, and it's a combination smoke and carbon monoxide alarm. But then there's another one that I found with its pigtail still on there. So like they come with a pigtail for putting into your house wiring. So that one was never put in place, or possibly the carbon monoxide one replaced it. But in any case, I don't know why the heck they would have taken them down, because what was the point of that? And maybe the only thing I can figure is maybe there was some construction going on at some point and they took them down for worried about dust or something. But anyway, I bought new ones because actually the carbon monoxide one started beeping because it's at the end of its life apparently. But I bought new ones. Now the house is, you know, got actual smoke alarms, which is always good. I recommend those. And the only slight disappointment regarding those is that they're hardwired, which is cool, but also they did the bare minimum for code requirements. So they're not in the bedrooms, they're outside the bedrooms. So there's one right over there, because this connects to the kitchen, and then there's one upstairs outside the small bedroom up there. But there aren't ones in the bedroom, which certainly you could add them. You could add a battery powered one, but then they're not gonna go off with the rest of them. So that was a silly oversight. People are dumb. All right, well, that's pretty much it for this I was right, almost hour-long Patreon update video. I wanted to give a quick thanks to Jim. Jim, if you're watching, I appreciate your offer to help move. However, we have it under control. That's what I wanted to let you in on at the end. Tomorrow or Saturday, depending on how, well, hopefully I get this uploaded on Thursday, March 14th. It's Pi Day. I hope to get it uploaded today, but if for some reason it gets pushed to tomorrow, I'm hoping that on Friday or Saturday, the plan is my mom needs to come back to the city anyway with me, and we're gonna take the old minivan and we're gonna try to disassemble the set, because it is literally, that bookcase is literally too large to fit in the elevators at my building or the van. So it needs to be taken apart no matter what. So the plan is to start putting things in the set, start, you know, getting them out of the set, put it in bins, and I hope to have it back here. I'm hoping I can have it here like Saturday or Sunday and actually start building it. We will see about that. I really hope that's the case. I wanted to give a few clarifications. Oh, if you were wondering, could you ask my neighbor to increase his internet speed? I cannot, because the reason he can only get 6 is because of the distance he is from the the D-SLAM, whatever that is that you call that, where the actual networking stuff is. Where the entrance is, actually my parents lucked out. They're kind of about as far away as you can get and still get 12 meg. This neighbor is too far, and so am I. So I wouldn't be able to get anything faster than that, even if I could get it available. So this new ISP, really hoping they get here soon. And I'm also hoping that his service improves back up to 6, because 4.5 is just barely not enough to stream HD video. 6 megabits per second is actually enough to stream HD video. Compression has gotten good enough that you can pretty reliably watch something in HD with that bit rate, which is neat. But in any case, I'm just happy that I have everything now. I have a reliable connection, because the AT&T box, depending on whether it gets better or worse, just all sorts of good things to have a true connection going on there. And now that I have watched now that I have watched the footage back, because I've done the editing of what I already recorded, yes, definitely there needs to be some acoustic treatment done in here. So this is actually what I'm thinking might be the quickest and dirtiest way to get it done effectively, is again, another reason to not have a ceiling. I can hang curtain rods and basically just put curtains right in front of, like what I could do is I could actually put them very close to me to shrink this room. The other option is acoustic panels, and quite frankly, once the set gets in here, it'll probably be much better just having something against this wall, because currently there's nothing at all on any of these walls. So it's very sharp reflections. Someone said the ceiling might need some treatment. I'm not actually convinced the ceiling will, because in the other half of the basement, the sound is fine. And granted, it's filled up with a bunch of crap, and it's a smaller area than here. I shouldn't say the other half, it's more like the other third, because this is probably about roughly 2/3 of the basement. But the other part of the basement, the sound is actually fine. So I think it's just mainly the drywall causing reflection. So more stuff in here plus some acoustic treatments will definitely take care of that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to say. I forgot a thing. The other thing I can start doing, which I totally forgot to mention, is in addition, once I get the outlets in the ceiling for lights done, I have new lights, and these ones are newer than my old ones. Anyway, these are, if anybody needs video lighting, I will say for the cost, these things are pretty freaking great. And the latest design is a lot more slim. And the other thing is the power supply is now outside of the light. So the lights that I'm currently using, the power supply is in the light, so they're kind of big and chunky. These are more of a panel. They're way brighter, and because they have a separate DC power supply, also you could put batteries in them. So these are pretty neat. And the new trick feature is they have both cool white and warm white LEDs in them, so they are color temperature adjustable. But they are actually brighter than my current lights, and they were a little cheaper too, and they look nicer. So soon I will start rigging at least the basic lights up for the set, and I need to measure this fitting to see what diameter pipe I need, because I think I'm basically just going to buy some pipes and brackets to stick them into the joists for now anyway. And yeah, anyway, I totally forgot that these came, and I'm really impressed with them. I will get probably some more just to have some spares, but for now I have what I need to get the set started, in addition to the 3 lights that I already have. I will say one small caveat: this company, Newer, one of the lights that I bought initially died very soon after I got it. The 2 that I've been using are fine and have been fine for a long time, and I'm pretty sure the one that died just has a loose solder joint, because it has a little neon light on the power switch. That doesn't work either. So I would think if the power supply failed or something actually broke regarding the LED circuits, the switch would still light up, because it's just a little neon indicator. So I have a feeling the socket is just disattached. I've never tried to repair it. I should for a TC2 video, but anyway, the quality of the light for how cheap they are is really good, and that's why I didn't hesitate to buy some of these newer lights. Their name is pretty weird, but I like the puns. So yes, as always, thank you very much for being a supporter of Technology Connections on Patreon. It means a lot both to the channel and to me personally, obviously, and things are going to be really neat, I think, pretty soon. So I hope to have at least one other video made for March. I mean, I should say I almost certainly will have another video made for March, but my goal has, if I don't know who does or does not know this, my goal is unofficially 3 videos per month. I hope to get that weekly, But I hope you'll be a little patient with me as this gets finished up, because I might only be able to do 2 per month, maybe through April, something like that. But the good news is, like I said, I believe once the set is here and I have all of my stuff to make videos here and I can leave it here, I think I'll be able to, I won't have to deal with this like what's where, when do I need to be where. For instance, like for the carpet install, I needed to be here, so I needed to get the video shot before I could come down here to be here for the carpet installation. So anyway, once all the production equipment is here, everything should be a lot smoother. I'm very much I'm very much excited and looking forward to that. So if you made it to the end, congratulations. I hope you enjoyed this all over the place talk. Thank you again for your support, and I will see you soon.